Hey, everybody. Hey, this is Kisa, Coach K. I hope you're doing well today. I am joining you from Filter Coffee Parlor in the south side of Birmingham. How are you doing? Hey, it's part two of our special relationship series, Knowing When a Relationship is Over. Okay? The day before, we talked about the signs of a relationship being over. Well, today we're going to jump right into understanding and knowing what to do when you recognize that it's over. Now, if you missed part one, I'm going to encourage you to go back and check it out. It'll set the stage for everything today. And I want to pose the question to you again, even. When is a relationship over? What are some of the signs that you think or that you have experienced personally? Look, it's all about us. You have some experience in this as well, and I want this to be a part of a community conversation. Would love for you to post your comments. Would love to hear from you. So first and foremost, before we get to all of that, who am I? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am Kisa. I am Coach K. I am a 30-year broadcasting media pro. My experience spans television news. It expands corporate communications as a spokesperson and current writer and columnist for the Birmingham Times. I always like to plug my folks at the Birmingham Times. One of their articles, as we celebrate and talk about breast cancer awareness this October. Ladies, have you had your mammogram? If not, you need to make that happen. Brenda's Brown Bosom Buddies, which is the featured organization on this cover, they will provide free mammograms. So this is the month that we make sure that we focus on awareness in that arena, okay? Brenda's Brown Bosom Buddies, okay? Helping you and helping ladies in general be mindful of how to combat breast cancer. And as always, remember, early detection is the key, all right? Of course, you know that. But guess what? I'm going to have to let you know that, and we have to be reminded of it because that's the key. Because there's such a thing as survivors, okay, who have been diagnosed, but who have lived long and thriving lives as a result, even after a diagnosis. So I want to encourage you to do that. What else do I want to encourage you to do? I want to encourage you to like, share, and comment on this particular broadcast, our video podcast on The Daily Show, because that's how you support us, okay? And as a life coach, a certified life coach, what else can I tell you? If you want to have a conversation with me, whether we work together or not, or if you want to tap into some of my resources and other people that I know, I invite you to check out our website, KisaSharp.com/life coaching. And if not, just check out the website. It's really kind of cool because it talks about all of the different things that I offer. And as you know, as a 30-year media and broadcasting professional and veteran, the experience spans a lot of different things. So it really is packaged in one item of being a communications pro. But under that comes MC, event host, audio specialist, voiceover artist, writer, author. So all of that is under the umbrella. And, you know, as it should be. If I call myself a pro, I should have that sort of resume, right? If I put all the years into it. So I came here back in 1996 at ABC 3340. Worked there. Worked at Alabama Power over a decade as a public spokesperson. Say that 10 times. And PIO, Public Information Officer for the city of Birmingham. Currently writing for the Times, the brainchild of Dr. Jesse Lewis, the incomparable Jesse Lewis, who's still getting around, ladies and gentlemen, late into his 90s. He may even be at that 100-year mark, but still getting around, okay? Sane and active. May God bless us with that long life. Amen? So that's who I am. I'm a life coach in this particular juncture of my life and my career, certified, by the way, certified life coach. Change is my jam. Check out the site. See what we offer there. That's not all that I do. The other hat is allshaynaturals.com. And I still have that doggone discount on there. Allshaynaturals.com. Luxury body butters, sugar scrubs. We customize. And we are in partnership with some retail providers, including A Touch of Art in the Clay Trustful area. Fisher Chiropractic, also in the Trustful area. And also right here on Birmingham South Side, Yolene's Enhancing Skincare. Yes, you can find lip scrubs that we have and are debuting exclusively in her shop, but you can also find it on our site. All right. So that is the website for allshadenaturals.com. That's the other arm of what we do in order to pamper you and to service you. I'm not even going to comment on that code. If it's still there, take advantage of it. If not, inbox me. You can get another discount using VIP. But that is our website, allshadenaturals.com, for luxury body butters and skin care products. Part 2 on The Daily Show, knowing when a relationship is over. Easier said than done, right? If most of us were to be honest, many of us have probably witnessed or been a part of knowing when a relationship is over. I would say all of us then. If you haven't expressly been a part of it, you know others who have been, and they're talking to you about it, because what happens a lot of times when we are in relationships which are, or sometimes you may even call them dead end relationships. What happens then? A lot of times when a person wants to get out of the relationship and they don't know, well, two things that just came to me. You either start researching and Googling. In fact, let me go ahead and just show you something here. You start Googling what? What are you looking for? Signs that you may have stayed too long in the relationship. That's the title of this right here. You see that in the Google bar right there? How to recognize you've stayed too long in a relationship. Go over this briefly because this is what we covered in the day before. And I invite you and encourage you to watch the replay. Lack of emotional connection, lack of physical intimacy, more so geared toward my marriage partners, lack of emotional support, different goals, no longer trying, feeling lonely. And listen, let me offer a balance on that. So those are some of the things that we talked about, and those are some of the signs. Today, we're geared toward solutions. And let me just say this. Any relationship goes through seasons. Every relationship goes through seasons. Every relationship goes through challenging times. Every relationship goes through hurdles. I am not communicating that. There's some times and some days you're not going to be feeling your partner. Dating, marriage, otherwise, you're just not going to be feeling them. Some days they're not going to be feeling you. Have you ever been there? Maybe I'm just out here by myself. Because see, the puppy love says that in, the first 2 years, that's the marriage. No, the marriage really starts after the 2 years, after 18 months, when the honeymoon phase is over. That's when the real work gets to get. And that's when life starts to life. And you've been physically intimate as many times as you want to be. You've gone out on as many dates as you can. The excitement of living under the same roof. And then routine starts to set in. That's when normally relationships are going to be made or broken. Because life starts lifing. And the real sets in. Reality sets in. Only the committed survive. See, we've got to get this Hollywood version and storyline and narrative out of our heads thinking, you just fall in love. Because I said this on one of the podcasts, and I want to reiterate this or bring this thought back up. The narrative in Hollywood takes us all through the dating and we get the butterflies. Listen, I love Hallmark. I think I said this earlier this week, Monday, as I debuted another one of our segments, Men Speak, on Mondays. That debuts October 14th. Tune in on this channel. And I talked about how Hallmark and all these love stories and all these shows take us all the way up to the marriage, the dating and the marriage. They take us up to that, right? But what they don't show is what happens after that. See how I've gone off the screen? They take us from meeting to the marriage. But normally we don't see what happens after that, because I submit to you, friends, that's when the real work begins. That's what I submit to you. Am I out here by myself? Am I out here by myself? Or would any of you agree with me? I want to make sure I'm on the screen because I'm kind of dilly-dallying, as they say, with this computer here. And it's doing what it wants to do. Okay, great. Just trying to make sure we have enough battery strength to keep going, right? But the question I asked you today is, what happens after the marriage, after the commitment, and you're together for a couple of years, even in the relationship? It's exciting with all the dates at first. What happens after that? The real relationship is what happens. That is the problem sometimes with people, though. How do you know if this person is a lifer or if it's just for a season? The relationship is made in the mundane. See, it's the same way with me on here recording this broadcast. This is made in the mundane. This is a random day that I'm recording. I started this a couple months ago. So the excitement has worn off. What I've gotten into now is commitment. Some days I'm feeling it. Now, there are some days it's very inspiring. I can go with the inspiration of it all. And I'll tell you what happens to guard against those times that I'm not feeling it. What I do is, when I know that I have the inspiration and the onus on me to do it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work with that and go into like a production day and do several things. Because guess what that does? That protects me on the days that I'm not feeling it, okay? But whether I'm feeling it or not, I'm calling this the daily show. So that means I've got to show up in one form or another. I can't base this on my feelings. If I base this show and this work on my feelings, you wouldn't be getting any of this, okay? Now, granted, there are mistakes. There's sometimes that I may say, y'all, hey, we're having technical difficulties. By the way, give you a heads up, day before yesterday. No, was it yesterday? It was Tuesday, October 8th. We did have some technical difficulties. Thought we were scheduled for a show, never got it up. I just thought we won't even point that out. We'll just move on. We'll come back tomorrow, okay? That happens sometimes in this technical space. But I'm saying, if I'm committed, and I am, to bring you this, I've got to show up regardless of how I feel. It's the same way in a relationship. We've got to start showing up regardless of how we feel if we want the relationship to be successful. Every day we're not going to feel each other. Every day we're not going to have butterflies. That's when your commitment takes over. Remember that word, because I'm going to talk about it. Your commitment. That's when it takes over. Say this before I get to the solutions. When you have someone who's committed in the relationship, they're going to be willing to push past the feelings. But you have to give it time to be able to see that. Let me say it again. When you have someone who's committed, they're going to push past the feelings and the emotions of the relationship. So after the first 6 months, 7 months, 10 months, 12 months, 18 months, they're still going to show up. Maybe not perfect, but they're still going to show up and show you that they're committed. They're going to show you I'm not doing this based on how I feel and based on everything just being perfect and us, having this kid sort of, romance for one another. No, I'm going to show up. I just recognized I had the music still going in the background. I hope that wasn't too distracting. But I'm going to show up, and I'm going to do this based on my commitment to you, because I want to be here and I want to build a life with you. Building a career, building a relationship is not a if it feels good, I'm in it, but if it doesn't, I'm out. No, it's a commitment based on your word. You undergird that with effort. And a lot of times, let me just say, sometimes we're too emotional, because a lot of things we don't feel. I may not have felt like getting up today. I may not have felt like getting out of bed. I mean, when I first got up this morning, before I had to record a show, I had to go make a delivery of All Shea Naturals. Okay. Shout out again to those of you who are our customers. We say thank you. And for those of you who want to support us at allsheanaturals.com. I'm going to show you the website right now. That's how you support us, allsheanaturals.com. Luxury shea butters and sugar scrubs, body butters and sugar scrubs. We had a delivery that we had to get out this morning. We have another delivery that we have to get out between this evening and tomorrow. I may not feel like doing it. I was up later last night. I may not feel like doing it. It has nothing to do with my feelings. Same in a relationship. All Shea Naturals is not based on my feelings. We recognize this as parents. Being a parent has nothing to do with your feelings. Thank God. Thank God our mothers love us. Our fathers love us, or should. Let me issue that. Should love us unconditionally, not based on feelings. Emotions are important. We're not discounting that. But if we base a relationship solely on that, Houston, we got a problem, as the saying goes. But seriously, we've got a problem. So once you recognize the signs, I'm not going to go over that again, but I will encourage you to go back and take a look at the previous day's broadcast. I gave you a little bit of a snippet of that a little bit earlier when showing you the signs, that loss of emotional connection and loss of even physical intimacy, and I'll say or affection, because when you're dating, for those of you who have chose the route of celibacy, you may not be physically intimate as in having relations, but it may even be a physical affection there. You know, you're naturally going to be a little more touchy-feely. Well, if that's not there, if they're emotionally not supporting you, if you feel lonely, even with them in the room, if you notice that they're not trying anymore, they're not putting any effort into dating you, they're not putting any effort into seeing you, they're not putting in any effort into spending quality time with you, quality being the key word, Houston, as the saying goes, we got a problem. We have a problem. Let me just sit with that for a moment. Am I making sense to you? So very simply, what's the response when you notice that? Talking about here on the Daily Show, knowing when a relationship is over. How do you respond at that point when you know, okay, outside of something changing, this thing is DOA, dead on arrival. It's over. It's done. What do? I submit to you two things briefly. Here's what you do. As a mature person, and I'm not talking about an age, I'm talking about a state of mind, a conversation is in order. Mature people communicate. Mature people have a conversation around what is going on here. This is what I noticed. This is what I'm seeing. I notice you're not putting as much effort into this anymore. I notice it just feels a little off with you and I. I notice we're not going out anymore. Not in an angry tone. See, let me talk to my sisters right here. We don't lose the battle often in what we say. We lose the battle often. And when I say sisters, I mean my light skin or either brown skin sisters and everything in between. We often lose the battle, not in what we say, but in how we say it. I've had a couple of my guy friends or a couple of men tell me, we want to know, we can't be mind readers. The problem is when we filter that conversation, or when you add into that conversation or that communication, all the other stuff that goes with it, all the attitude and the nastiness and the saltiness and all that kind of stuff. That's when there's a problem. No, we can sit down and have a conversation and say, I noticed something is a little different with us. Is it me? Or have you noticed it too? You have a conversation. In that conversation, you ask, is this something you're willing to work on? Do you want to work on this? Can we work on this? Is this salvageable? You're asking all of those questions in the conversation. Listen, if you have an audience with someone, if you are in a relationship or a situationship or whatever you want to call it with someone, particularly if you're married, all of this going around and dancing around, no, makes no sense. Oh, there's nothing wrong as long as he's paying the bills, as long as I have him. Okay. If that's the way you want to get down, great. And let me, but for me and for others of you, I'm going to say, let's have a conversation. People spend years, 20, 30 years in relationships, knowing there's an issue, but refusing to really address it. And so it continues. And it amounts to, in my opinion, if you roll differently, I respect that. In my opinion, it amounts to wasted time. I don't know that I want to spend my time in a loveless marriage or a loveless relationship. Am I out here by myself? Am I here by myself? I don't know what to say about the Mac. The Mac just gave me a thumbs up. Am I out here by myself? Or do you feel the same way? You're at least owed a conversation. No one has any time to waste. That's my 52-year-old self talking. Maybe I would have seen it differently at 22. Secondly, what happens when you sense that a relationship is over? After you've had that conversation, now comes the commitment on the other side. Conversation, then a commitment. What am I saying? A commitment is a decision. I can't tell you what decision to make, but I believe that a decision is in line, is in order, as they say. It's in order. Make a decision about which way you're going to go, whether you're going to stay and work through it, or whether or not it can't be worked through. And if a person does not give you a direction, if you have a conversation with them and they don't give you a direction, that really is your answer. Or what happens if you have a conversation and the person says, I don't see it as such. I don't think it's a big deal. That's part of your answer too. You're going in two different directions. Now you have to choose whether or not you're going to stay there or whatever. And please, let me issue this caveat again. This warning, this other side of the story. If you are married, whole different conversation, because that's a covenant. I'm really targeting this toward people who are dating, because you have an opportunity to positively affect change. And positively affecting change does not always mean that it's going to go in your favor. It may mean quite the opposite, or the way you want it to go. It may mean the ending of that relationship. But wouldn't you rather know at year 1 instead of at year 10? Wouldn't you want to know that? I think I would. And what happens when you start really understanding or recognizing that the relationship is over? A lot of times you start Googling, or you start having a conversation with your friends. Okay, what do you think about this? Do you think, okay, I've noticed this, or I've tried to do whatever. And listen, as a coach, let me tell you what we understand as a coach. KeishaSharp.com, life coaching is our site. We understand full well as coaches that you already have the answer that you need on the inside of you. The coach's job is to simply be a vessel or a tool in which you can pull that wisdom out of you, out of yourself. You already know your answer. It doesn't take a million conversations. The Bible says there is safety in the multitude of counsel. So have a conversation with those who have been married. Have a conversation. How did they navigate the rough spots? But once you have had, first of all, that conversation, see what the other person's space is. Give it a little time. See how they respond after the conversation. It's then time for a commitment. That's my twofold response. That's my shot at you today. A conversation and then a commitment. You have to determine which direction you're going to go. If you're going to wait it out, see a little bit longer, wait a little while longer, see how it goes. But you've got to commit to something. And please hear me when I say this. Their action or inaction is a commitment. If they don't do anything, that's a commitment. They're choosing a line of action. You have to respond accordingly. I can't tell you which way to go. If you want to tango in there a little while longer and see what happens, go for it. But nobody really has any time to waste. We're not getting any younger. I'm not confessing old age. I believe my youth is renewed like the eagles, according to the Bible. But at this point, I'm much less likely to waste time or be in a headspace of wondering, because that too, if you're wondering, that too is your answer. That's my best shot at you all. For those of you who are dating, if you're married, that requires a little bit more prayer. I believe in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. I can't tell you which way to go. God understands the finality of that relationship. He understands the heart of your spouse. He understands which way your spouse is going to go. My issue with that, or my suggestion with that, is take a little more time. Be open. Watch your spouse. Ask the Lord for direction. Watch and pray. Lord, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this relationship is over. This is not going to go well, but what do you say? Is there an opportunity to turn this around? Do you want me to stay in here and support my spouse? And just wait. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. Get God's clearer guidance in that case. Clear. Because the Lord hates divorce. But I believe also that the Lord understands that divorce is necessary. There are necessary endings in some specific cases. I'm not telling anybody to get a divorce. I'm telling you to seek the Lord. And that sometimes divorce may be your answer. But you have to get that from him. You can't get that from Kisa. I'm not telling you that. Let me be very clear. Okay? I'm a divorcee. I'm not proud of that at all. But I do understand that sometimes we as humans fall short. Sometimes we miss the mark. Okay? I have no blame for anyone. I look at myself squarely and surely, okay? Not even thinking of another person or putting another person in it. But again, there are times that divorce does happen. The Lord hates it, but he's made provision for it on the same end. You have to get your answer from him. So a conversation and a commitment when you know a relationship is over. Conversation, then you commit to a line of course. You don't have to do it immediately. Give it a little bit of time, but also be open to the guidance of God and also to your trusted circle of counsel. Okay? I'm Kisa. That's my best shot at you for this week. Knowing when a relationship is over and how to respond accordingly. You need me, you can go to KisaSharp.com, life coaching. And also, if you want to take advantage of our fabulous shea butter products, go to allsheanaturals.com. Hope you have a super fantastic week. We appreciate you for joining us. And we are located, by the way, at one of my favorite spots on the south side of Birmingham, Filter Coffee Parlor. So shout out to them. Next time you have your cup of coffee, your morning cup of Joe or afternoon cup of Joe. Okay. I'm at a place now where I drink. It's one of my gifts, I'll say, from my ex, who kind of opened me up to this whole coffee deal. I wasn't really a coffee drinker before, but hey, I mean, we have to look at the bright spots as well, right? One of my ex-spouse, that was one of the gifts of understanding and having a renewed interest in coffee. So we are at Filter Coffee Parlor here for the Daily Show. I sure hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. 2 things I want to encourage you to do. Number 1, I want you to tune in on Friday on Evolve. That's the day we normally evolve, and we feature and spotlight topics and people in our community who are doing wonderful things. We are going to feature Mr. Barnett Wright from the Birmingham Times, okay, the editor of this fabulous weekly newspaper, which is a dying art in our community and in our country, okay? So from the Birmingham Times, Mr. Barnett Wright. All right. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so that's the article that takes a salute there and shouting out Brenda's Brown Bosom Buddies and all the great work they do in the community to get women their mammograms, which, by the way, if you need a mammogram, they can get that for you. Brenda's Brown Bosom Buddies. Brenda's Brown Bosom Buddies. Google it, okay? So we're going to hear from Mr. Barnett Wright, and we're not talking about that. We're going to be talking about the political landscape. What does it mean for you? Why should you get out to vote? How can you check to make sure you are registered so you show up at the correct place in order to vote? What is the political climate? What is the political landscape? Why does it feel so heavy right now? Why is it important for you to even care? 12 noon Central Standard Time on Evolve, Mr. Barnett Wright, the editor of the Birmingham Times. And then Monday, October 14th, we kick off a special series entitled Men Speak on Mondays, because I found out you like to hear from men on dating and relationships. So we're going to kick it off with Carlton Young. He's a Birmingham native, does not live here now, but he's from Birmingham. Tune in. You're going to see me promoting it all throughout the week and the weekend. I am Kisa. I'm Coach K. We have lots of good things in store for you. I appreciate your support. And remember, let me know if you're watching via the replay. Also, like and share the broadcast, and also comment and tag your favorite friends who need to hear some things too about knowing when a relationship is over and what to do accordingly. Kisa Sharp, Coach K. Visit us at KisaSharp.com/life coaching, or support us by buying our products at allshadenaturals.com. Goodbye, at least for now, and thank you for your support. Goodbye.